All right, everybody, welcome to our Amplified Solutions and Interface webinar. Really excited to dig in today. We're going to be talking about building efficiencies and automating things in your Follow Boss account, partly to be efficient, but also, we all know the number of clicks. Anytime somebody has to do this and remember to do this and remember to do that, there are a lot of great things you can do to automate those systems. So my name is Lee Adkins. I'm the Chief Partnership Officer at Amplified Solutions. We help customize your Follow Boss account. So we kind of live in this space of we wanted to do this and do this. And I'm joined today by Daniel Poston. How are you, man?
Doing awesome.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about InterFace as well, and then we'll dive in.
Okay. Originally started my career as a real estate agent selling multifamily properties in the Los Angeles area back in 2008, 2007, best time ever to get into real estate.
Right.
So my real estate sales career didn't last too long. When the economy tanked, I was one of the agents that washed out. Actually ended up playing online poker professionally for several years, lived on the beach down in Mexico.
Wow.
And that led me to a career in data science and analytics, which is surprisingly a very similar skill set. You need to know statistics and automation. And now what I do is I help real estate teams, automate their sales process the same way that I used to automate, playing poker as efficiently as possible. I used to play 800 hands an hour.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't know that, actually. I'm glad you shared that. And I love, from my perspective of what you guys do, we've worked with a pretty good number of mutual clients, and just the efficiencies that you guys create, specifically in the forms you guys do, but the other things as well, where people can just have a form in their Follow Boss, they fill it out, it does multiple things, updates the stage, creates a deal, checks if they had the appointment. We'll get into some of the details of what it all does, but the blessing and the curse of Follow Boss is that you can do a lot of different things, right? You can set it up 100 different ways. You can automate this, you can use Zapier, you can do all these things. But I know sometimes that's overwhelming for people, and they're like, I just want it when I make a new deal that this stuff happens.
Exactly.
So what's the MO behind that? Like, where did you kind of realize that was a missing link?
So the challenge that teams face is they want to collect data at different stages of the transaction, but there's no way in Follow Boss to really enforce data collection. So you can't require fields. You can't display certain fields in certain circumstances. So I was actually working with a team in San Diego a few years ago, and we set up like a form system in Follow Boss, and one thing led to another, and we ended up starting a business kind of around it. And it just really simplifies Follow Boss. So instead of training your agents to when you set an appointment, we need you to put this data in the note, and fill out these custom fields and create a deal and create an appointment and put these tags on if it's a buyer and these tags on if it's a seller. Now you just train them to fill out the appointment form, and we can program the form to do all of that stuff dynamically depending on what's entered into the form. And real estate sales agents are real estate sales agents. They can be a challenge, but they can remember to fill out a form.
Right. Right. And that way, you're right. And that way you don't have this huge list, or you're creating tasks that are like update the stage, create a deal, add the appointment, put the thing.
Exactly.
There are a lot. Do you want to, it's funny, this wasn't my original plan, but do you want to actually go ahead and share your screen and dig into that a little bit specifically, since we're there?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So let me get my screen here.
And I'm a big fan of how you've built this. And I think what's cool is you've built it in a way that it makes sense for everybody, but there are also nominal customizations that people can potentially do. We want this appointment type, or we want it to be called this. So you guys have done a great job of building something really scalable that still tweakable.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to get much more tweakable in in the relatively near future. So,
Nice.
all right. So, can you guys see my screen? Are you seeing Follow Boss right now?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. So in Follow Boss, in every lead record, we have this embedded app. And so, if you set an appointment, you'd come over here, click on the plus, and you're going to get a list of different stages. So this essentially, we call it an opportunity. And so you can start an opportunity from any stage. Ideally, you want to start it from the appointment set stage. But if, sometimes with your agents, you don't find out about sphere of influence opportunities until they get an agreement signed or it goes pending. Right. So they can start it from later stages, but click on the appointment button and now we have the appointment form. And so this is fully customizable. You can add whatever fields you want. Some of these fields aren't relevant to you. You can remove them. So if you have inside sales agents, it's a great way of tracking who's setting the appointments. If you just have outside sales agents, that's fine as well. And so these are like the standard fields that most teams use, but you can add, a lot of additional stuff, and it's fully dynamic. So since I put a buyer appointment in, the buyer section appeared. If it were a seller appointment, the seller section would appear, and you could add additional fields in there as well. Go down here to assign it, and we're going to submit. And so now we'll get a note with everything that was entered on the form, and a deal gets created, and then the appointment gets created. And then over here, we're going to get some tags in a second. There are the tags. And so all this can be dynamic. So, if it's a buyer appointment, we can do buyer tags. If it's a seller appointment, we do seller tags. We could update the contact stage. We can trigger action plans. We can pause action plans. So if you have a new lead that comes in and that triggers like a new lead action plan, and now you want that turned off when you set an appointment, we can have the appointment form pause those action plans. And then in the appointment, we store like the office address. If it's an office appointment, we're automatically putting the office address on here so the agent doesn't have to write that out. We have templates, description templates. So for every lead type, like buyer or seller, and location, so whether it's office or at the property address, we can store templates that'll automatically get applied. So if it's a buyer at the office, you could do like directions to your office.
Right.
If it's a seller at the property address, you could do here's what to expect on our listing appointment. And it's just reducing data entry as much as possible.
Yep. That's killer. I really love it. I knew the office address thing. And just to be clear for those who didn't see it, like in the appointment form, there's an option for location. So you can say, if it's a listing appointment at their house or at my office, and to your point, Daniel, it pops in the appropriate info to the appointment.
Exactly.
So that way,
if you have multiple offices, we could have a list of each office.
Right.
And then we'll store the address for each one of those.
Yeah, I have worked with a client of yours that it's in multiple, I think in 5 or 6 states. And it was amazing how well it worked. I was actually floored at how well it worked to Colorado versus California. Like it's pretty great. Jill has a great question I want to tackle now. She asked, do the agents normally fill out these forms, or do you have admins doing it, like with your clients?
So different teams do it different ways. I always tell people who are looking at the form system that the teams that do the most transactions, they collect the most info and they have their agents fill out the forms.
Yeah.
It is a challenge getting agents to fill out the forms. But it's a challenge getting the agents to do anything other than talk to their clients. That's what they want to do.
Right.
Getting them to do data entry, it's a nightmare. So reducing the amount of data entry that they have to do, is ideal. But you can get them to do it, different ways. So like our agreement signed form, what a lot of teams do is they have their listing manager refuse to do any work until the listing form has been submitted.
Right.
And the transaction coordinators refuse to do any work until the pending form is submitted. And that when those forms are submitted, we can automatically email the data to those team members. And then that's what kicks off them doing the work. And so that's how you can kind of force the agent's hand to do it. And they hate doing it, but it does save them time, because what typically happens when an agent gets a listing is they send an email to the listing coordinator with the absolute bare minimum info possible for the listing coordinator to get started. And then back and forth nightmare ensues for the listing coordinator to get the rest of the info.
Right.
And so just forcing them to fill all the info out at once, cuts that time for the agent and the listing coordinator in half. The agents won't like it, but they're not going to like doing any of this data entry stuff.
Right. Yeah. And I think, to kind of piggyback on that from our perspective, like with our company, my typical MO when we're training and setting stuff up is, hey, the agents work stuff through conversion. I know this depends on your company. If you have 3 agents, maybe it's a different story than if you have 50, but my general MO as a company, our general kind of MO is the agent needs to get it to signed papers. Then if you have an admin staff or people internally that can handle the closing side and all those details, I think that makes sense. But I love what you just said, Daniel, like that warm handoff of like, give the listing person all the data they need to go do their job, give the contract to close person all the stuff they need to go do their job, then they can take it off your plate. So we tend to sell stuff to agents like this, like, look, we know it's a new thing, you fill this form, but all you got to do is fill that form and then staff takes over and you're good to go. And then Jill had a quick follow-up that just says show up in the Follow Up Boss app or only on desktop. I don't think you can view embedded apps, but
no, you can view embedded apps, but we also put the forms in custom fields, so you can access the forms here. The issue with the custom fields is we can only deal with one buyer and one seller at a time. So if you have somebody buying like 4 houses, we can't have 4 different links in this field.
One custom field.
But over here, so now that the appointment was submitted, now we have a tile will appear. And so to access the links for this opportunity, you click on here. And so you can have 4 different buyer tiles at once. But yeah, we can access the links in custom fields, but there's some limitations there.
Yeah, but you would be able to. Now, I don't know if it'd be clickable because it's technically, well, hold on. I'm doing one right now live in my account. Yeah, it's a little harder to click on it in mobile, but you could, in theory, get this link in mobile, click on it, open the form on mobile, and fill it in mobile. So short of Jill is the answer.
Yeah, and so probably the best part of our system is the next stage, collecting info on what happened on the appointment.
Yep.
So what we do when the appointment is submitted is we schedule a text to go out 2 hours after the appointment is scheduled to begin. So the agent just receives a text with this link as their appointment is coming to an end. And so now they are just filling this out on their phone. They don't even need to go back into Follow Up Boss to report what happened on the appointment. And so now they fill this out, and if the appointment happens to get rescheduled, they can reschedule it, and it'll reschedule the appointment in Follow Up Boss, and it'll reschedule the disposition text. But if they come in here, say the appointment happened, what's the outcome? We could even do like an appointment rating.
Oh, that's cool.
Submit. And so now over here, we're going to get another.
This is my favorite part too. This is so good because just to reiterate what you said it very clearly, but I just want to be really clear. The agent fills out the appointment form. They have an appointment. 2 hours after the appointment, they get a text that basically says, did this appointment happen? They click this link from a text and update the form. And then if the appointment was successful or they listed, it's updated the deal stage. It's done all these things.
It added the outcome to the appointment.
Yep.
And then additional tags are added. We can update the contact stage. We can even do a drop down on the forms that list out the different stages so they can select what stage it needs to go to.
Cool.
So some forms, like the agreement sign form, it's really obvious what stage it needs to go to. It needs to go to like active client. But the disposition form, if the appointment didn't happen, it needs to go in one stage. And if the appointment did happen, it could potentially go in several, depending on if you got an agreement or not. So we can either program the form to automatically update the stage to a specific stage, or we could put a drop down on the form where the agent can control it. So a lot of different options on how to set this up.
I love that.
Just because of how many options are in Follow Boss.
Right. Absolutely. I really love that. And again, that's kind of where I say you guys have built a really great system that's pretty unchanged, but people can do minor modifications like, oh, I want it to update to this stage, or
exactly.
drop down thing. Like, I love that. And then, not to jump too far ahead, but then the transaction forms, that's more where you're like turning in a contract, for lack of a better term. So that's kind of where I was saying, hey, agent, we want you to do the appointment. We want you to, get them signed as a buyer or a listing. Now they're under contract. Here you go. Now help us help you.
Exactly. So this one would be the agreement sign form. So this would be for like buyer broker agreements for buyers, or listing agreements for sellers. So the seller one, that's where we're collecting. Most teams are collecting a lot of info. Does the property need to be staged? Do you need a sign? What's the MLS live date? Is there going to be an open house? When is the open house? So teams collect a lot of info when it's a seller agreement signed. And then the other place where teams are collecting a lot of info is if it's pending. So now we're collecting cooperating agent name, cooperating agent company, transaction coordinator, escrow company. Do you have recurring escrow companies that you use often? We can put that in a drop down. And if you get some random ones, you can choose other, and now you're putting that info in.
Nice.
Financing type, cash. If it's conventional, now we're going to get loan officer, and now we could have a drop down with your loan officers. Or if it's a random loan officer on this transaction, now you can collect that info.
That's so good. I love this so much. And it's all incredibly automatic. It pulls in the contact ID, like it knows who it's updating in Follow Boss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's funny on one level. I definitely get Jill's question or earlier questions too about adoption. But I can say from experience, clients we've mutually worked with, they don't have too hard a time adopting this. I mean, we sell it again as that like, hey, we're going to save you like 20 steps, but we need you to do this one thing every time. It's just unbelievable. And to your point, the data integrity is said and done is the real win. You can actually see who is actually pending. How many appointments did you have? What happened on the appointments?
Exactly.
It's great. And to your point, every time you do a form, it puts all the form data in the record. So if there's ever a question in the future, or you need to remember, or the agent's out of town and the admin needs to see the history, it's all right here. So
exactly.
Beautiful. I love it. Is there anything else on the form? Because I definitely want to get to chat GPT too. Actually, another really good question. There'd be an available report that can be exported. Oh yeah, since you can't pull out custom fields from deals.
So we can populate custom fields. So we can populate custom fields on the contact record from the forms, and we can also populate the custom fields from, so the form I just filled out, the pending form, this was populated under contract date. So we can populate any of these fields as well. But yeah, we can do reports as well. Like if you want to see how many appointment forms were submitted in July, we can do reports like that as well.
Nice. And you could also probably dig in a little bit via the tags, although obviously the tags aren't tied to dates per se. Yeah. But I mean, you're leaving a number of breadcrumbs here that one could drill down into. I think part of, and Jill, for what it's worth, I've said this a few times now, but the deal stages will ultimately have all those functionalities, but the deal custom fields will have all those functionalities. But they aren't there yet as far as being columns, potentially powering automations, and things like that. So on the follow boss side, I would say that's coming. But I love that you guys can provide some kind of reporting, Daniel, for people to just be like, hey, yeah, how many appointments did we have? How many with this result?
Yeah, exactly.
That's really
Each
great.
form we can generate a report from the data. So you can, you could even do like bar graphs, like, which of my ISAs submitted the most appointments, and
Right.
it's not super sophisticated reports, but we definitely can do reports on the form entries.
That's awesome. I really
And
love that.
then the forms also integrate with Sisu.
Right.
So if you're using Sisu, the forms can send all the data into Sisu, and you can generate all the reports you want from Sisu.
Yeah, absolutely. Funny, I had that in my brain earlier and I forgot to mention it. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, and also we also integrate with open to close. So if you want to send data into open to close from within Follow Boss, rather than having your agents log into open to close to fill out their form, you can have the agents fill it out right from Follow Boss. Our system pulls a lot of data from within the Follow Boss lead record, so they're not going to have to fill out like the name or the email or the phone number. So it reduces the amount of data entry necessary when creating open to close transactions.
Right.
So that's a good option as well.
Awesome. I love it. I mean, these are such a game changer for me. I mean, I remember the first time I think what happened is I had a client, I went into their account and I was like, what are these? These are amazing. Somebody was like, oh, that's InterFace. And I was like, oh, I need to talk to those guys. So fast forward a couple of years.
Here we are.
Here we are. So I love the forms. We'll get into some of the pricing and stuff in just a minute as well. Very affordable. Do you want to cover GPT next and then maybe talk about pricing for both?
Yeah. So ChatGPT is currently in beta. We added this, I think, about a month or two ago. And so essentially we've just brought in ChatGPT to Follow Boss. So getting an agent to pull up OpenAI, in a second window, like getting them into Follow Boss is challenging enough. Right. So, it's just unrealistic to think that they're going to pull up OpenAI, but pulling it into Follow Boss, now this is a tool that can do some work for them, so they might actually start using it. Right. So, you just click on this button here. It's going to pull up the ChatGPT interface. Oops, let me go back. Sorry, too many times. All right, so we put a few prompts in here to kind of give them an idea of what ChatGPT can do. The long-term plan for this is we're going to give teams the ability to create their own prompts. So like the admin team can come in and create their own prompts that'll appear here that agents can use, while they're working. And currently it integrates with our ChatGPT account. But the long-term plan is to allow users to integrate their own ChatGPT account. And so the idea behind that is we're going to have a service where we'll help you train your ChatGPT account on your internal data, so like your own processes and, procedures and, what should be done. And, I just got a listing agreement. What do I do next? We could train your ChatGPT account on your procedures, and then ChatGPT will, be a tool to help the agents, know what they're supposed to do in any given situation. But here's one, like write 5 text ideas to send to a client who's considering selling their home and requested a follow-up in 3 months. So, now it's been 3 months. So we query ChatGPT, and now we're going to get 5 text ideas to send to a client. And sometimes just staring at that blank text screen or the blank email screen is just a nightmare.
Even when they have templates, because we build templates for people and they still are like, I don't know what to say.
But, now you get this and you read through them and you pick the one you like best, and then you just copy it and paste it into the text. And so we also have, and then you can,
because you can query anything, right? You guys just have some sample easy
yeah, exactly.
prompts.
And it works just like ChatGPT. So you could say, rewrite the texts in a funny tone. Now it's going to rewrite the text. So yeah, if you're not using ChatGPT, OpenAI and artificial intelligence is just a game changer. Like it really can significantly reduce your workload if you start using it on a regular basis and get good at it. It really is a game changer.
Absolutely. These are hilarious. I love these. I mean, obviously one of them's the fifth one's a little off because it's talking about a support group for real estate agents. I mean, that's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. So
that's really beautiful. I love that. So the way you guys work, right, is people basically can sign up for one or both of these services. They're all run through your one embedded app. Can you kind of run down, I guess, overall the offering and the pricing and just all that good stuff?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so for existing products.
Oh yeah, we'll drop the link to the website as well. And we'll also send this recording tomorrow with the recording with all of the links to all of this stuff.
Okay, so we haven't put ChatGPT pricing on our website yet, but it's currently $29 a month. So very, it's pretty much the same cost as ChatGPT if you, get an account there. But with us, it'll appear in your Follow Boss account. For the web forms, it depends on whether you're integrating with Sisu or Open to Close or both. For Follow Boss only, to get up and running on like the basic setup where you get 40 optional fields. So you get like the basic fields, and you get to add an additional 40 on top of it. So, like in the appointment form, we have to collect the data, the date of the appointment, the time of the appointment. So that all is going to be on the form by default. But then you can add an additional 40 fields. Disposition text, that's a text that goes out 2 hours after the appointment. That's $29 a month. You get 10 optional automations. So the default automation is creating the deal and creating the note. Everything else counts towards these optional automations. So adding the appointment, that would be one. So it's $449 one-time setup, and then $149 a month. Almost everybody gets the disposition text, so it comes out to $178 per month. And then with the max plan, the disposition text is included. You get unlimited. It's not unlimited fields. Each form has a 100 field limit. And so we don't limit the fields. So you get to go until you can't fit any more fields on the forms. You get 20 optional automations, and this one is $249 a month. We also have some additional forms. So we have a document upload form.
Oh yeah,
that comes with the max plan, or you can add it on to the plus plan. The assignment form is great if you have ISAs. So anybody who has an ISA team understands that if you let your ISAs assign appointments, they're going to assign them to their buddy who buys them drinks on the weekend rather than the agent who's most likely to close the deal. So if you want to take that assignment out of the ISA's hands, we have an assignment form. So they'll fill out the appointment form, they'll submit the appointment form, and it'll trigger an assignment form to be sent to like a lead coordinator. And then that lead coordinator is going to look at all the data on the appointment, figure out who the best agent for that appointment is. And then they just fill out a form that just has one field, which is, which it's an OSA, agent dropdown. They select the agent they want. And then when they submit that, that's going to trigger all the automation.
I really like that. I didn't know about that one. I like that idea that you're separating creating the appointment from the assignment, but it's a really easy way to.
Yeah, exactly. We can send that assignment link a bunch of different places. We can send it via email. We automatically put it within the Follow Boss lead record. A lot of teams like it being sent to Slack. And so some teams they don't have the ISA assign the appointment. They have it like a click to claim, so the first agent to claim it. So then we send the link to Slack and the first agent to click on the link and fill out the assignment form and, select themselves. they get the appointment.
That's really cool. And obviously great for things. Well, I'm talking leads now, but I was thinking things like home light and all that do require claiming, but I'm going down a different rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's a different webinar. Yeah, that's killer. I really, really love that. And I think, I mean, this is so affordable to me in the sense that I think it literally replaces a person. I mean, this is like a full-time leads manager auditing stuff. Did they do that? Did they add an outcome? I mean, I think this really, in some sense, replaces a role on your team in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to get more customizable. So what we're planning on releasing by the end of the year is the way it works now is when you sign up, we send out intake forms that let you explain to us how you want your form set up. And then we go and make the updates for you. And so what we're heading towards is a system where we're going to have a drag and drop interface where you can create your own forms. And then the form will show up within the embedded app rather than opening on the side. And
Right.
so the way that looks is this is kind of the prototype that we're working on. So you'll have like your list of forms, in our system. And then if you want to make an update to the appointment form, you click on it. And now you have this drag and drop interface to set up your form however you want. So it doesn't need to, go through us, and you can create like conditions. So, if, you want this field to appear if it's a buyer, you can do that. And this field to appear if it's a seller. And the way that'll look in Follow Boss, hang on one second. Sorry, I gotta switch the type of embedded app in my Follow Boss account.
Oh yeah, no worries. That's great. I really love this though. This is so smart because I know people have little tiny tweaks that they could do themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
No reason to support it. Send in a ticket when you can just change the name of the field.
All right, here we go. Okay, so
Toph, that's a great question. I don't know if that's possible, but Toph just asked if you guys thought of integrating directly with Follow Boss in terms of payment, just in the sense, I will say you guys kind of have that with Sisu in some sense. So like they pay one fee, but they got these, instead of paying an additional monthly, you pay the additional monthly as part of your.
Oh yeah. So Sisu, for our Sisu integration, Sisu does cover some of the cost of the integration. So it does kind of work like that with Sisu.
Yeah.
But no, it might make sense to reach out to Follow Boss to see. But
FubCon, we'll talk about that at FubCon.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is how the form would look. So this is the free version of our Sisu integration. So this one isn't customizable, but the plan is you'll be able to create your forms in here, and whatever forms you create will appear in Follow Boss like this.
Wow.
And then you can create whatever forms you want. Right now, it's limited to the pipeline stages, but if you want to create like an offer form or, whatever form you want to create, you'll be able to do that. And we're also going to do like lead capture forms. So if you want to do maybe an open house form where the data will feed directly into Follow Boss as a new lead, we'll be able to do that as well.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to mention. Even in the time that I've worked with people with you guys, like definitely seen massive improvements to it quickly. I mean, you guys iterate quickly and add stuff, but it's not confusing. You're not like, oh, we just changed everything. It's like, hey, we just made this even more easy to use and even more functional.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty awesome.
We're really tied in because we don't integrate with a lot of different platforms. Our goal is to, really optimize our users' platforms.
Yeah.
So, we don't, any of the all-in-one platforms that don't have good APIs, we don't deal with any of those. We just focus on making the really good platforms, optimal. So we only integrate with Follow Boss. We only integrate with Sisu. We only integrate with Open to Close. That's pretty much it for now. We do have the the chat GPT. And so we are going to start adding other stuff, but we're going to be very selective on what platforms we add. If it's not a platform that we think is one of the top in real estate,
Right.
we're just not going to do it.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. And just so people, I'll drop it again, but just so people are clear, I did just drop the URL. So if people want to sign up or learn more or do a demo or whatever, what's the best way? Is that just through your website?
Yeah, just go to the website and do a request demo.
Awesome.
And fill this out, and we'll reach back out to you and schedule something. One last thing I wanted to touch on, which is actually the next thing we're about to release, is our automation builder. So there's Zapier is great, but there are some limitations with Zapier, and Follow Boss automation is great, but there are some limitations with Follow Boss automation. And so we're working on a simplified automation platform that does some of the stuff that Zapier doesn't do and Follow Boss doesn't do. So the first iteration of it is actually going to be for calls. So there's a lot of limitations with call reports in Follow Boss. Like if you want to do a smart list based off of last activity, you're limited to like the last call that happened, not necessarily the last call that happened to an assigned agent. So agents, you'll set up a smart list for an agent that they're supposed to call once a week, and then the transaction coordinator calls, and now it drops that lead off their list, and the agent doesn't know to call them. And so what this is going to allow us to do is you'll be able to set up a call trigger in here. So these are kind of the different triggers that we're working on. But you would select call trigger. This is just a prototype, but and this one's set up for Slack. Eventually we're going to have Slack automation, but the first thing we're working on is for calls. So you'll set up a call trigger, and then you'll have a filter. So you could filter by, was it an assigned agent? Was it a collaborator? So you could do assigned agent, and then one of the actions will be populate a custom field. And so now you can populate the date to the custom field, and now you have a last call by assigned agent date, and now you can do filters based off of that. And so the first thing we're releasing is call triggers, and the action is going to be populating data to custom fields and applying tags. And the awesome thing with applying tags is you can use tags to trigger Follow Boss automation. And so now we've built in a call trigger into Follow Boss's automation. And so the call triggers is the first thing we're going to release. Shortly after that, we're going to do tags, notes, and emails. And so all of those will be able to trigger automation within Follow Boss, or you'll be able to populate custom fields. And eventually we're going to build in like Slack notifications and all kinds of fun stuff. So
that's so good. I love that. And I've been running into that lately. In fact, I'm going to reach out to you after this about it. We've been having that with lender communications, because we're trying to do a smart list for the lender, people you haven't talked to in 5 days. But if the agent calls them, then the smart list doesn't work. So
yeah, that's exactly what it's for. You could do a last lender call or last lender text, and then build smart lists off that. So that's the exact purpose for it. So we're releasing that by the end of August. So we'll be beta testing in September, and then by FubCon should be ready to go for most teams.
That's awesome. And speaking of which, if people do the demo, I assume, or just set up an account, even if they haven't added these features yet, they'll also get on your email list, which is great. You don't send a bunch of stuff. It's very targeted and focused. So at the very least, I would definitely encourage to at least get on the email list if you're not ready to sign up, just because, you guys will drop a big bomb like that. You get an email like, hey, we just released this. Do you want it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we do release stuff pretty quickly. The ChatGPT integration, we noticed somebody asked on the Follow Boss group if there's a ChatGPT integration, and like 100 people replied. And so, we replied and said, we'll have one up in a week. And a week later, we had a ChatGPT integration.
That was awesome. I think that's actually when I circled up with you, which led to us doing this webinar. I was like, tell me.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. So yeah, we do release stuff pretty quickly.
That's awesome. I love it. And seriously, saying, having a good chunk of mutual clients, like you guys are quick when you need to be to help people, but largely it just works. Like there isn't a lot of support involved.
Mm-hmm.
Get them set up and they work. It's just data. It just does what you told it to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Funny, kind of similar to our company. Like we tell people all the time, like we're the third party bad guy, right? Like the system in your case is the third party bad guy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the form requires you to fill out that field. It's
Yeah.
not me.
Yeah.
But I love that so much. And I can't say enough good things about, working with people that work with you guys, and just all of the above and how, I mean, I understand the concern of adoption here, but like most people I've worked with that have these, like they get them, they're using them.
Yeah, well, one thing I want to clarify about adoption, the difference between the teams that adopt it and the teams that don't are the teams that adopt it have an admin team in place that's able and willing to hold the agents accountable. It's not the agents. Like every team has the same agents. They don't want to do data, and
Right.
they're only going to do the bare minimum that they're required to do. So
Right.
adoption is your ability to require them to do it. It's not the agents at all.
Right.
The
Yeah.
teams that take the time to have the conversations with their listing coordinator to not do work until the form's done and have that discussion with the transaction coordinator and, talk to their ISAs about, you only get paid for appointments that are submitted through the appointment form. Those teams they have no problem with adoption.
Yep.
So, you have complete control over adoption. If you want the agents to adopt it, they will. If you're willing to hold them accountable. But yeah, the difference between teams that get adoption and teams don't are the admin, not the agents.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really a culture of like, this is a requirement. Like we know you're independent contractors, but if you want to get leads
Yeah.
or get your check,
Yeah.
this is how you do it. And it's interesting because that, kind of segues nicely into what we do as a company. So we don't do this sort of thing. This is why we partner with people like InterFace. We're not necessarily building fancy direct automations, integrations, things like that, but we do focus more on that adoption side. Like what are the best practices? We help people develop a written Follow Boss handbook, a written short cheat sheet that's like, here's what you need to do every day, build smart lists for people. So it's really interesting how we work together in the sense that you're adding appointments and tags. We're helping people understand that, leverage it to learn from like, oh, we need a better listing presentation, or we need a script for our agents because they're not closing these appointments, things like that.
Exactly. And we don't do the Follow Boss setup part. So, if you need to set up a bunch of smart lists, we don't set up smart lists and we don't
Right.
set up Follow Boss accounts. We set up the integration. And if you need an action plan triggered from the form, we'll trigger the action plan from the form, but we're not going to set up the action plan.
Right.
And so that's where Amplified Solutions comes in, is they're going to set up all the action plans and everything in Follow Boss, so it's working properly, and we're going to dial in the automation to simplify it further.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're working on cleaning up stages, tags, things like that, native to it. So it just pairs really beautifully with it. And Chris just dropped a link in the chat. We recently released a blog website. Chris just dropped a link to it. It has got an unbelievable amount of information. It's all free. You can check by categories if it's recruiting or technology or whatnot. There's even some client discounts on there. So definitely check that guide out. Another big thing that we offer, and it's funny, I know there's a few people on this webinar actually who have done it. But we offer a free Follow Boss assessment. So when you do that, you fill out a form, it securely gives us your login so we can go into your account. And we give you a report card that basically says like, hey, your this, and this are really great. This, and this can be improved. And it gives you a literal like 1 to 100 grade on where we think your Follow Boss is currently. So as much as obviously that's our opportunity to potentially talk to you about working with us and where we could help, it's a free assessment. Like if you want to just take it now and take it in a year and go, oh, wow, I got 10 points better. That's awesome. Like it's not just a sales pitch. I just want to be clear. Like we like doing assessments and saying, hey, great, you went up 10 points. That's awesome. Like use some of our free content to get you up 10 points. But Chris just dropped a link to that as well for the assessment. So
yeah, and also for Amplified Solutions clients, we are offering a discount. So I don't know how you do that, Lee.
yeah, I'll send it in with the recording. It's actually on that site. Actually, okay. I'll grab it right now and drop it in the chat. That'll be even better. So yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, and I had a note on that, and I didn't look at it yet. We try to offer, rather than taking like an affiliate fee, our goal is to ideally try to pass those along to you. So we talked to Daniel a little while back and said, hey, we don't want a couple of bucks for somebody coming over and signing up. We know they're going to love it. So, just pass that discount along to our people. So I have the link now and I will drop it, I think. Come on, brain. Actually, I don't have it on here yet. So I'll send it out with the email.
Perfect.
We transferred this from a different site. I know I added it to the other site, so I'll get it updated, but I'll send it out with the recording for sure. And I'm sure in the meantime, if people already scheduled a demo or whatever, they can just tell you guys that.
Yeah. If you just let us know that you're working with Amplified Solutions, we'll apply the discount.
Awesome. Perfect. So we're going to drop a couple more links in the chat, just our YouTube channel. I think we had maybe one other to drop, but we'll send out more with this recording. But, Daniel, I really appreciate this because I feel like we really are it's such a complimentary thing. Like we kind of do let's talk out what you're trying to do in your follow boss. And you guys help facilitate some of that happening automatically. And it's just such a good lane. So it's really, it's always fun to be partnered with you guys and fun to work with people that work with both of us.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes it easier when a team has someone like Amplified Solutions in place.
Because if we're cleaning up the stages, it makes the forms a lot easier to not have 50 stages as an option. You got 8.
Exactly. We get a lot of teams asking us like, well, how should I set this up in Follow Boss? And how should I set up that in Follow Boss? And, we do have that knowledge, but we just don't have the people in place to assist in that way, so having Amplified Solutions in place just makes it a seamless process.
Yeah, absolutely. It really, we love that. And it's funny, Toph's point earlier about it'd be great if we could just pay one group. I get that part of it, but by the same token, a lot of us occupy an interesting lane. And I think that allows you to have kind of a menu of like, hey, I need this and I need that and I need that.
Yeah.
And they all work together. And that's why a lot of us that work closely with Follow Boss try to work together like this, because we're doing different things and we like, our goal always, I think it's fair to say, we want people to have a comprehensive system that works great for them. It's easy for the end user, i.e. a real estate agent.
Yeah. Well, what Follow Boss is doing is it's dragging the real estate industry kicking and screaming into the 21st century.
Right.
Because most teams are used to is all-in-one platforms that don't have everything in one platform and you can't connect it to anything else.
Right.
But it's simpler, but it has a fraction of the functionality. And so now with Follow Boss, you can get it to do everything you want it to do, but now you have to deal with a bunch of different entities connecting to Follow Boss to make it happen.
Right.
And so it is a learning curve to do that, but the end result is 100 times better than any of the all-in-one systems.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's what we thrive on, the customization. We want to do this. We're doing recruiting in our Follow Boss. We send out a bunch of referrals. Like those nuances are really important to the system running right. And if you're the type of person, you have the bandwidth that you love to learn all that stuff and do it, like, great, go to our blog site. We've got 300 hours of free content showing you how to do it. But if you want an easy button, we're not that hard to find. So cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you being on. I love what you guys do. And I could even see in the comments, there were a bunch of people that are like, I've never heard of this. This is amazing. Or maybe they heard of it a while back and they're like, I didn't realize why I need it. So yeah, I definitely hope you guys will check them out. Do the free assessment. Like I said, we'll send the recording of this tomorrow, along with all of the links. And you can, of course, reply to that too, if there's anything we can help you with.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks again, Daniel. We'll see y'all soon.
Thanks, Lee. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.